Welcome back to Barbecue Pit MMA, UFC Vegas 47 or UFC on ESPN Plus 58, whatever you want to call it. It will be live this Saturday night. Main event: Strickland versus Jack Hermansson. First fight we previewed was I think we left off maybe a fight on the main card, but first one we previewed was Trashaan Gore versus Bryan Battle, which was supposed to be the main event or the tough finale of this last Ultimate Fighter. Gore fell out of that fight, and Bryan Battle ended up fighting Gilbert Ubrina, and Bryan Battle won that fight. He is 6-1 overall. He has decision win over Kierman Lechkov and a submission win over Andre Petroski in his time in the Ultimate Fighter House. He's got wins over Impa Kasaganai and Coney Brundage in his amateur days. He's only got one pro loss, which was a submission to Nicholas Martino in his second professional fight, and 5 out of 6 of his wins are finishes, 4 by submission, 1 by knockout. He's going up against Trashaan Gore, who's a very talented striker. 3-0 overall record. Decision winner over Ryder Newman and a knockout win over Gilbert Ubrina in the Ultimate Fighter House. I think this fight is going to be a strictly striker versus grappler exchange. Trashaan Gore, very, very talented striker, a tough kid. Bryan Battle, great grappling. Has amazing submissions. Both guys very early in their professional careers, so it's hard to really tell. This is a really hard fight to pick just because how early it is in their careers, and you don't really have much to go on, even though they were both an Ultimate Fighter. They both fought Gilbert Ubrina. Gore knocked him out. Battle submitted him. It's just really tough to go. Both guys coming out of South Carolina, I think it looks like, or the Carolinas at least. I'm just going to go with the favorite, Trashaan Gore, by decision or knockout is what I'm going to go with. Second fight, Sam Albee versus Phil Hawes. Albee comes into this fight 33-16-1-1 as his overall record. He is winless since his split decision win over Gan Vellante in 2018. He is 0-2 since his return to middleweight, with a submission loss to Julian Marquez and a split decision loss to Wellington Turman in his last fight, which I thought he won. Turman got a point deducted for eye pokes in the third round, which I think, as many times as he did, it could have been 2 points. But with that point, we should have been looking at a draw at best or Sam Albee win, and he just lost that split decision. He's got 19 wins by knockout, 11 by decision. 11 out of 16 of his losses are also by decision. He's a really good boxer. He's good. He's got good cardio. He's a good boxer. I think his ground game needs a lot of work, Sam Albee, although he's older. He's a veteran in the sport. I don't think work is much. Work is more getting into the gym and training more than it is, adding new things to your arsenal. But Sam Albee is a really, really good boxer with a great chin. Phil Hawes, 11-3 overall record, 7 wins by knockout, 2 losses by knockout, 1 loss by submission. He's 3-1 in the UFC. His only loss in the UFC was a knockout loss to Chris Curtis in his most recent fight at UFC 268. His other 2 career losses are to Julian Marquez in his first Dana White Contender Series appearance of 2017, and then Lewis Taylor. Sam Albee's going to come into this fight with a 2-inch height advantage, but a 1.5-inch reach disadvantage, which is going to play great into Phil Hawes' striking. I think if we're going to go to more well-rounded striking, it's got to be Phil Hawes. Sam Albee probably definitely a better technical boxer, but Phil Hawes probably has better kicks, better leg kicks, better defensive striking, whereas Albee just has straight-up technical boxing. And I think Phil Hawes comes into this fight minus 350, a big favorite, and I have to agree with that, either by knockout or decision, easily over Sam Albee. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Carlson Harris, one of the best fights on the card, in my opinion, one of the biggest fights to look out for. I think this fight probably should have been a co-main event over Punahele Soriano versus Nick Maximov, which is supposedly going to be the co-main event. But Rachmanov is 14-0, 2-0 in the UFC. He's got submission wins over Alex Oliveira and Michel Pajeras. He's got 100% finish rate, 7 wins, 7 submissions, 3-2 as an amateur. Both of those losses as an amateur were decision losses to Gatsmarad Kuramagomedov. And he's coming into this fight with a slight size advantage over Carlson Harris. Carlson Harris 17-4, 2-0 in the UFC with a submission win over Christian Aguilera and a knockout win over Impa Kasaganay. He's currently on a 5-fight winning streak right now, 7 wins by decision, 3 out of 4 of his losses are via submission. And his only knockout loss was to Jarua Hassan El Sawili at Brave FC 16 in 2018. He's never been submitted in his career. What 3 out of 4 of his lost by decision. Never been submitted in his career. Rachmanov, I think, is the welterweight Habib. He's got great dominant sambo type wrestling, and he's got striking to match. He's got very, very good kicks, very good jab, and I think this one, Shavkat Rachmanov, I think is going to be undefeated for a long time until they start giving him ranked opponents, and I think that's maybe where we see him slow down a little bit. But Rachmanov over Carlson Harris any day of the week, in my opinion. Punahele Soriano versus Nick Maximov, co-main event. Soriano comes into this one 8-1. He lost his most recent fight by decision to Brandon Allen in July of last year. He's 2-1 in the UFC. He's got knockout wins over Oscar Priehota and Dusko Tordovich. He's got 5 wins by knockout, and he's never been finished in his professional career. He's going against Nick Maximov, who's coming into this fight with a 1-inch height and 4-inch reach advantage. He's 1-0 in the UFC. He's got a decision win over Cody Brundage. 7-0 total. He's got 2 knockout wins, 3 by submission, 5-0 as an amateur, and he trains at Nick Diaz Academy in Stockton, California, which means that he has got great grappling. Punahele Soriano, I think, his best option here is going to be to stand and strike, 5 wins by knockout. Nick Maximov, though, has got great striking, and he's got a 4-inch reach advantage over Soriano. I'm going to go underdog here, minus 160, Nick Maximov. Main event, Jack Hermansson versus Sean Strickland. Hard fight to predict here. Sean Strickland's so well-versed going up against a very versatile Jack Hermansson. Strickland's coming into this fight, brown belt in jiu-jitsu, 24-3 professional record. Never been submitted in his career. Only got knocked out once by Elizio Zaleski dos Santos by spinning wheel kick. He's on a 5-fight winning streak since that fight, 11-3 in the UFC. He's got UFC wins over Court McGee, Nordine Taleb, Jack Marshman, Brandon Allen, Krzysztof Jotko, and Uriah Hall in his most recent fight. That was in July. 10 out of 24 of his wins via knockout, and his only other losses in his career are to Kamaru Usman and Santiago Ponzinibbio. So his 3 losses are spinning wheel kick by Zaleski dos Santos, which, spinning wheel kicks could come out of nowhere. He could have been losing the whole fight. Spinning wheel kick, got knocked out. Kamaru Usman, welterweight champion, one of the best welterweights of all time. And then Santiago Ponzinibbio, one of the best counter strikers in the welterweight division. And Sean Strickland's going to be going up against Jack Hermansson, who's 22-6, 11 wins by knockout, 6 by submission, 9-4 in the UFC, though. He's got UFC wins over Jiro Mearshart, David Branch, Jacare Souza, Kevin Gastelum, and then most recently Edmund Shabazian back in May. And Hermansson's also going to come into this fight with a 1.5-inch reach advantage. The guys are the same height. But this is where it gets fishy, man. Hermansson's got really, really good grappling. But I think, Sean Strickland being a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, I don't think it's going to get there. I think they're going to stand and strike with each other. And I think that's what's going to play straight into Sean Strickland's hands. I think that's why he's coming into this fight a minus 250 favorite, is because they know the grappling is going to offset. They're both really good grapplers. They're going to try to strike with each other and see who wins this striking bout. And I think that's going to be Sean Strickland. The rest of the card plays out. Miles Johns versus John Casanda. This was supposed to happen a couple of weeks ago. Hakeem Dawandu versus Michael Trashaan. Chidi Nakajuni versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Alexis Davis will be taking on Julius Stolarenko. Jailton Almeida versus Danilo Marquez. I think that's one of the biggest fights to watch on the prelims. Jailton Almeida is one of the most impressive guys for me in the most recent season of Dana White's Contender Series, going up against a really, really tough guy, Danilo Marquez. Jason Witt's going to be taking on Philip Rowe. I think that fight was supposed to happen sometime last year as well. And then Malcolm Gordon taking on Dennis Bodner. Very, very intriguing card coming up this Saturday. Everybody make sure they check it out. Let's see what's coming up after this list of... You would think as many times I do this, I just have this pulled up already before I start, but I don't. Let's see. Scheduled February 12th, which is weird because I think the Super Bowl, normally the UFC skips the Super Bowl weekend. But Super Bowl weekend will be Sunday, February 13th. And they have a fight card on February 12th, the day before UFC 271, Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker 2. Derek Lewis will be taking on Tai Tuivasa, Jared Cannonier versus Derek Brunson, Kyler Phillips, Marcelo Rojo. Andrei Arlovski will be on this card. Roxanne Modafferi's on here. William Knight be taking on Maxim Grishin. Alexander Hernandez versus Renato Moicano is a great fight. Carlos Oberg, Fabio Charant. This thing is top to bottom amazing. Prelims, Alex Perez, Matt Schnell, Modafferi's fighting Casey O'Neill. That is a great card. We will preview it next Tuesday when we're back from Disney. Until then, holler at me, kids. Stay barbecued. You guys know what the fuck it is.